can see our COO, Mr. Sekan. He's one of the best brains in the banking industry. And for him to believe in what we are doing, it means we are taking good care of him.
Yes.
More than the bank. So when we need people, we don't hire people based on sentiment. We get the right kind of people for whatever position we want. We look for the best. If Mr. A or a member of the team suggested something that is better, we bow to the superior opinion. And that's how we have run Krishna Group and Mainland Oil.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Good evening once again. Good evening. Our guest today is a man of monumental and awe-inspiring achievements, and is evidenced by his many titles and awards, including a national honor. Yet, he prefers to simply be called by his first name. That's not how I'll introduce him. Many would describe him as a simple man, a God-fearing man, a compassionate man. He is a philanthropist, and of course, an eminent and shrewd businessman. It is said that he's able to play with children, walk in the fields with employees, chair board meetings, and dine with kings. It is therefore our delight, we are thrilled. Keep your hands free, you'll be using them now. As we welcome to this maiden founders Fireside chat, the one, the only CEO of Mainland Oil and Gas and Krishna Group of Companies. Please make welcome Sir Dr. Chris Odinaka Igwe. Standing ovation in order at this point. Welcome, good to have you. Welcome, please make yourself comfortable. I'll allow you to take any seat, and I will be fine with whichever one you leave for me. Okay. Now that he has gotten himself comfortable, I will take the seat beside him, and we shall get straight to it. Dr. Igwe and I have agreed that we will reserve a generous chunk of our time today for the Q&A segment. What that means is have your questions ready. And as I always like to say, the tiniest scribble is better than the sharpest memory. So be it life skills, additional industry insights, we have someone to break it all down. So without further ado, we shall get straight to it. With resounding applause, please welcome him again. Thank you. Welcome, Dr. Igwe. Okay, you can turn on your mic, then we just jump to it. A good place to start, of course, would be sharing a bit as to how what we know today as Mainland Oil and Gas came into being.
All right, thank you, Ebele. Let me start by thanking Mr. Emeka Kabogo, the founder of OTL, and his dear wife, and all the team of OTL for the great job you are doing. Let me thank the Executive Director of Globus Bank, Mr. Nixon Igwe, and also the representative of FCMB Bank, and then Sterling Bank, and First Bank, and everyone that have gathered for this all-important program. Mainland Oil is an offshoot, a subsidiary of Krishna Group of Companies. So it's a conglomerate of companies.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, it's a conglomerate of companies.
Yes.
Yes. So I know there's so much more in that conglomerate.
Yes.
I can go into it because I've done a bit of research. So there's oil and gas, there's logistics, there's property, real estate.
Yes.
You have farming, actually, and logistics.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us how you got there? Now, did you ever envision the position you occupy now, what you have attained thus far? Did you ever see that coming? What did you imagine you would be when you grew up as a child? So walk us through that journey, and we'll pick it from there.
All right, thank you very much. I am from Isuchi, Isukwato, Abia State. And so when I was growing up, I have an uncle who was he was a brigadier general then, who is now a major general, Ikenwachuku retired. And a lot of generals from my place. So I developed interest and I wanted to be a soldier.
Okay.
And growing up, I was a member of the Boy Scout. And so I actually wanted to be a soldier or a lawyer. But later on, I lost my father as a teenager.
Oh, wow.
And so when I lost my father, my world crashed. And in those days, it's either you are in government or you go and do what we call apprenticeship. You go and serve. And so when help was not coming, that my dream of becoming a soldier died naturally. And so I chose to go and serve. And so I did apprenticeship for 7 years. And I was settled in 1992 with 10,000 naira. And so the entire group started with a seed capital of 10,000 naira. And the rest is history. Thank you.
Oh, wow. And the rest is history. And look where you are today.
Thank you.
Mainland Oil and Gas, or well, your business, your conglomerate.
Yes.
You were 32 years and counting. Is
Yes.
that it?
Yeah, 32
You
years.
see, I always say that no one climbs a ladder by accident.
Yes.
It's an intentional act.
Yes.
You are the complete definition of a serial entrepreneur.
Yes.
But the question becomes, how do these idea bulbs light up in your head? From where do you get the creativity, the inspiration to what started as 10,000 naira, which I imagine probably annoyed you when you were settled with 10,000 naira, like just 10,000.
Yes.
You could have whined, you could have wept and cried over it and made nothing out of it.
Yes.
But as is often said, the difference between the wealthy and the poor is what they do with the money they have at the moment.
Yes.
So you did something with that 10,000, and it
Yes.
has brought us here. So how are you able to think things through and arrive at what has brought you here today?
Thank you, Ebele. Since my dream of becoming a soldier died, I now decided that I will not end up a local businessman,
Okay.
that I want to be an international businessman. And so exchange rate then was 52 naira to $1.
Okay.
And people were crying inflation. So I wonder what they will say now, now that inflation has gone up so high. And so the dollar equivalent was $250. But I wanted to be an international man, which I am today, a global citizen.
Absolutely. That deserves applause, don't you think?
And so that vision, I needed $10,000, which is about $520,000 to start it. And so to get that done, I had to do so many things. I started with intercity trade.
Okay.
We were those boys that used to come and buy from Idimota.
Okay.
And then Kano. Because Kano in those days, a lot of importers, clearing was cheap in Kano. So you get goods relatively cheap in Kano. But among my group, my set in those days, I think my capital was small. So it's nothing to write home about. It's not enough to compete with my colleagues. So in those days, after buying goods, I chose to be the clearing agent that will clear it on the road, because there's a lot of police checkpoints. It didn't start today. So for you to come from Lagos to Onitsha, you probably meet about 20 or more than 20 police checkpoints. And so I agreed to take care of it, the road. So what I benefit from doing that is that, was that I don't have to pay for the transport. So, but you have to be awake all through the night. And so we started doing it. I did it so well that when we finished buying at Idimota, we charter luxurious buses. They will be begging me. Some will buy chicken, some will buy beer, just to,
get you on their side.
To get me on their side. So I was doing it, and then my strategy was to save as much as, and that led me to, squat with people who were living in a room apartment. All of us now are big. So but in those days, we were sharing one room. But that one room, one thing I detested was the toilet, public toilet. It was nothing to write home about.
Boys, all men?
Boys, all men. So what I did was that my neighbor that lives in a flat, I now went and made him my friend. Mm-hmm. So when I want to use the toilet, I'll go there. And I will give him a breaking news. I'll just tell one story. So you can see these are my mates who were living in one room in those days. And this is my own room. When I moved to my own room, you could see in that room some of the boys that served me then, people like Mency Oil and Gas. I will sleep in the bed as the Oga, they will now sleep in the mat.
Around.
So, and then, within a short time, these people really discovered my secret. So, whenever I come to tell them breaking news, they said, "You want to use the toilet?"
They discovered your secret.
They already found my secret. They said, "You want to use the toilet?" I said, "Yes, but hear my story." Yes. And so we were doing that. We were doing supply. We were doing a lot because I really want to be an international businessman. And when I later moved to my own one-room self-contained, all these companies, I wrote it boldly on a cardboard sheet of paper and then pasted it.
Wow.
So I see it every day.
Wow. 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 You cannot feature in a future you cannot picture.
When you have a vision, you have to be passionate about your vision.
Absolutely.
You have to be passionate. I was passionate about, starting an international business. And then, in fact, I started making money, but I was conservative with the money I was making because I want to be an international guy. And luckily, that same year, I did a lot of supply. With the credit I was collecting from customers, I was able to get a visa to travel to India. Oh. I went to India and Pakistan in 1992. And for me, I was like somebody who have won a jackpot. So that was how I realized that my vision. And when I arrived in India, the $10,000 was not enough. And so my supplier, I calculated that the money I was going to spend in the hotel would be too much. I called my supplier, I told him, I'm a young man, I'm afraid to stay in the hotel. Do you have a guest room? He said, yes. So I was staying in his guest room, and I was able to use the whole money to buy enough goods. And when I landed in Nigeria, I calculated the number of cartons of that goods in the market. I knew it will soon be it will soon be dried up in the market.
Then
And
you
so I packed my own. And then that December, our ED here, Barrister Igwe, they were the only one that travels home. So I have to guide that goose because you have to guide your business, your resources. So by January, the price skyrocketed. It was not in the market. So when I came to the market and said, I have these goods, all the high and mighty, they followed me to my house. So, and they were fighting who will buy. Finally, I said, okay, I will share equally to you. That was when my bank then was Progress Bank. They all agreed. I said, go and pay the money in Progress Bank first. They went and paid. I confirmed that the money was there, and I released the goods to them. And honestly, I nearly ran mad because I was shouting, I am a millionaire, I am a millionaire. But I was so excited. And that was how we started. And then from there, I started international trade. Of course, somebody told me, Chris Igwe, you don't have a life, you live in the air. I live in the air, you know. Somebody who was looking for money and you see opportunity, I grab it. I never played with it. And of course, each time I return from either Hong Kong, China, I will always go to do market research. And so when I come back, I don't want to sleep in the same hotel with my colleagues because I don't want them to buy what I'm buying. So I will always, I have my way of buying, different items.
Okay.
And so it was paying off until in 1997, there was difficulty, of entering China because of language barrier.
Okay.
And so we agreed with my brothers. My elder brother now moved to China to go and learn the language.
Wow.
And so immediately we learned the language. We were well prepared to take over China.
Wow.
And so
that's major foresight. Fantastic.
And so the only place you have group shipping then was in Hong Kong. So Chris Snack became the first group shipping company in China in 1997.
Look at that.
And
absolutely.
When I share the vision, group business is less than container shipment because people who travel to China, a lot of them who cannot buy full container, we created that value. And once you create value, you start making money. Absolutely. Value creation is what make people make money. So if you are not making money, it means you are not thinking enough. You are not creating value. So when we saw that opportunity, we created that value, and Nigerians bought into it. And from one container per month, we grew it to over 400 containers in a month. And we started making money.
Wow.
And from there, we now went into real estate. And of course, my strategy for real estate is to study government spending. I want to know where government want to spend their money. Which road do you want to build? Which area do you want to develop? I'll go and take over. Buy at a primary stage and then get ready.
For it.
I remembered when I moved into Lagos, there was a particular church in Yaba. They are just buying property, so I will go and buy and wait. So when they come, I say, hallelujah, do you want to buy? And I will sell. And they are ready to buy at any rate.
Absolutely.
So we went into real estate. And real estate really paid off. And of course, I moved into Lagos when the shipping business started growing. We moved into Lagos. We did a lot of real estate, call it Amuwo, all these areas. In fact, when I look at how much we buy those properties and the level of appreciation today, I said, even when I retire, I will continue to do real estate because it's the best business if you know how to invest. It's a business that you will invest, and even when you are sleeping, it is appreciating. Even when you go on holidays, it is appreciating. And so it is from that real estate that we bought an abandoned retail filling station at Nkpo, Onisha.
Okay.
Somebody built it. He doesn't know how to manage it. And then we negotiated. I gave him an offer. And then he agreed. I bought the station.
Wow.
So when we bought that station, the challenge then was, how do we compete with majors on that Oka Road to Limca Road? They were majors. But you see me, I'm not afraid of whether major or minor.
Good.
If you cannot think the way I think or do what I do, I don't consider you a competitor. And so we acquired that station. But before then, I have tried to come into the oil and gas. A lot of fraudsters were in oil and gas. Once you see them with fleet of cars, they are not doing oil and gas. They are doing different things. So I now, because there was one of them I pleaded, I said, I want to come into oil and gas. And he said, the only condition he will help me is if I bring my money, we combine and then import AGO. In fact, he took me to one of the banks. He doesn't have assets. We have a lot of assets. So we all agreed. The bank GM convinced me to deposit all my assets. And after they prepared the agreement, I got home. I called the man. I said, I'm no longer interested. And to tell you, that business ended in a very big problem because it was from China. He imported a fake AGO. So that was how I would have lost a lot of money. So, and I remember every business I have started, I started small. Good. So when I bought that station, I said, let me start small. And then I took time I did a lot of research. And then one day I stood on the road and I watched the road users, the number of vehicles that are plying that road. And then we reached out to them. Some of them are transport companies. We reached out to them and invited them for a customers forum. And they all gathered. So in that forum, we promised them that we are going to make product available 24/7. Good. And price affordable and good quality. It was a good party. And after that party, it's easy to promise. But to keep that, I never knew what I went into. So, but then, even in the midnight, we make sure, bought more trucks, we were buying. In fact, the first tank farm I built wasn't even the one in Calabar. There was a place we have up to 500 plus of land. I went and dug the ground and buried tanks. So we buy more, we store them there, and then to make sure we keep to that promises. And before you know it, we ran those majors out of business.
Look at that.
Because there was, each time I was even buying from the majors, but I will
buy and store.
I will add a little margin. And before you know it, we introduce a raffle. Every month, somebody will win a bag of rice. To you, Ebele, it doesn't mean anything, but for a commuter operator,
it means
a bag of rice means
a lot.
Is
major business.
And so that was how we took the market. And then from there, we started buying more retail outlets. As of today, we have 54 functional retail outlets.
Wow.
Scattered all over Nigeria.
Wow.
Yes.
This is inspiring. You are clearly not just, some people are thinkers, others are doers.
Yes.
You are both a thinker and a doer.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, as I suspect they're also wondering, at 32 years old, I'm talking about your business.
Yes.
You didn't run that alone, and sheer luck doesn't give that to anyone.
Yes.
How were you able to, as the vision bearer, how were you able to hire those who bought into that vision and have brought you this far generally?
Thank you very much. Let me start with my brother, Barrister Igwe, is sometimes they call us to win.
Yes.
Because he believes so much in me, and I believe in him.
And he looks like you.
So he supported all my ideas. And of course, when we want to hire, we look for the best competency,
Absolutely.
capacity.
Absolutely.
When I need somebody, I can give you my private car to make sure, because I want result. So we always hire the best. You can see our COO, Mr. Sekan, is one of the best brain in the banking industry. And for him to believe in what we are doing, it means we are taking good care of him.
Yes.
More than the bank. And you see another CEO of our lubricant. Of course, we have one of the best ultra-modern lubricant factory, PVC factory in the Southeast. And
that is good.
Barrister Chijioke is there. He was a banker, a lawyer, but he's very happy to be our COO. So when we need people, we don't hire people based on sentiment. We get the right kind of people for whatever position we want. We look for the best. And then that has equally paid off. And of course, we maintain a corporate governance in our business. Every member of our group know how much we have made and know our next investment. I think that gives them confidence in what we are doing. And also, we recognize the fact that there is no way one man can run all those businesses. I cannot be MD
Everything.
and be ED
Right.
and be COO. And of course, our accountant is here, CFO, Mr. Patrick. I cannot be a CFO.
Yes.
And our GM is here or someone. So that calls for, we try to give our colleagues and workers opportunity to make right judgment. So what that means is that you need to see where we are having our discussion. It doesn't have to be my opinion. So if Mr. A or a member of the team suggested something that is better, we bow to the superior opinion. And that's how we have run Krishna Group and Mainland Oil. And also, in some of our group today, some of those people who started with us are part owners, because we told them you are not going anywhere.
Nice.
They are now part owners. And because they are part owners, in fact, if business is not going well, they will be crying. They will come to me and ask me to help to make sure that the business goes well. Because at the end of the day, all our interest is there. And that has paid off. Thank you.
Clearly, it has clearly paid off. Yes, that deserves another applause. So it brings me to this question. Your companies currently employ over 2,000 people.
Yes.
So that translates to putting food on the tables of over 2,000 homes.
Yes.
You employ the best brains from the best schools around the world. But you didn't have that opportunity growing up, speaking about going through school.
Yes.
But at some point, you went back to school. Why did you see the need to go back if you had attained all this? And I mean, for some of the people who are in school now, that's really the essence of what they are doing. Having gotten there, why go back to school?
Yes, I know the importance of education, that if I don't go to school, I won't be able to manage what we are managing today. And so because of that, I have to prepare myself to go back to school. I remembered when I wanted to take my GCE, it was a difficult thing because by then I was already a big man. So Each time I want to read, I will sleep. Each time I want to read, I will sleep. And so I have to tell a carpenter to, make a chair that is painful, so that when I'm sitting there, it will be paining me. And then I now stop some luxury life. I stopped drinking beer. I used to drink red wine and champagne. I stopped them because I know without education, I won't go far.
Right.
So I now went back to school after my GCE. Of course, I got admission at Federal Polytechnic Oko to do distant program. Then after that, I went further to University of Lagos, where I graduated. So I am very well educated now, and I am a BSc holder.
Right.
And not only that, I equally went to business school. I went to LBS. Then, of course, later on, I went to Harvard for...
Oh, wow. We can make that louder. How many of you have been to Harvard? Well, I haven't.
I am an OMP graduate of Harvard Business School, the best in the world.
Oh, my goodness. This is good.
So, thank you very much.
This is amazing. You see, sometimes when these conversations are had, especially, let me use Niger parlance now, when the big ogas talk, they make it look easy. Is that your story? In other words, have you had challenges? Have you made mistakes? Do you have regrets along the journey? Did you have struggles? If the answer to those questions is a yes, then how did you handle them? Because, things are looking good now, and let us know.
Thank you very much, Ebere. I've had so many setbacks. You've heard the good part. Now get ready to hear the other side. Of course, when I started this importation, there was a time, this same China, I traveled to China and imported some containers of goods. I gave them my specification. Only for me to come back here, they manufactured the fake and shipped to me. And even nobody wanted to buy. I now started life afresh.
Oh, dear.
I lost friends.
I can imagine.
And my son is here. Sometimes he tells me, why are you not? I say, no. When you lose money and then you lose friends, you learn. I lost friends. And it was so bad that in my office in the market, a friend I took to India, in those days, when I'm traveling, I travel with a lot of people to show them the way.
Right.
And one of them felt he has made money. And he was to wait. He was sharing invitation. And he gave instruction that I should not be given invitation because I am now a poor man. And so, known to me, when they were sharing invitation, they got to my office. I said, why are you not giving me invitation? Somebody now whispered to me that my friend gave instruction that I should not be given an invitation.
Can you imagine that?
To me, I felt pain because even my colleagues that used to take people abroad, they would charge, but I don't charge. I do it, even though some of them, when they return, they'll buy drinks, and then so it really pained me. But then when you humiliate me like that, you challenge me.
Good, that's it.
I felt challenged.
That's the spirit.
I said, I must succeed. And also another friend. We do international business together. So when I don't have goods to sell again, and I told him, okay, can I be selling for you so that I will make some markup? And he agreed, only for me to bring my customer who bought large quantity. And so he was supposed to give me because he said, this is my price, and then he was supposed to give me my markup.
Yes.
And that was about 500 and something thousand. So I got home, we were jubilating with my wife. I said, we have started again. only for me to come back the next day. He told me he was going to give me 10,000. I said, what for? Give me this thing. He said, no. I said, okay, take.
Oh, dear.
I felt so bad.
Again.
I closed and went back. And there was a lot of ups and downs, you know. But those things don't discourage me. It encourages me to work harder. Of course, when we started this groupage shipping, there was a man, I gave him the best of my services. But he told people that Chris Igwe is a good man, even though he doesn't have money. And when the business now started thriving, the day he came to my office, I made sure he waited for almost all the day. I said, keep him there. And when he finally met me, I said, yes, since you worship money, I make sure those people I saw first, they are richer than you. That's why I'm seeing them. He apologized. Anyway, so in business, and of course, let's even come to oil and gas. When we started the managing of our retail outlets, you see these drivers, most of them will not go to heaven. I know what I'm talking about. Truck drivers, they dead with us.
That's normal.
You load your product, they will stop on the road and siphon it. And so, of course, the truck we are managing, some of them will stop on the road and say the truck has broken down. And so while we were trying to deal with that one, what we did, we now employ some mechanics and some on contract. And so when some of them will stop at Lokoja and say, our truck had broken down, we say, okay, don't do anything. We are sending our mechanic.
Very good.
He will say, Waka. He will drive and go and move on. We experienced that. And the worst of it is, one day, one of the drivers was taking product to our station in Calabar. And then he stopped on the way to sell some of the products. He didn't wait for the engine to cool. While he was doing it, the entire truck
went up.
Got burnt.
Oh, no.
Wow. And then he called me, Oga, my truck has accident and got burnt. I said, where? We now send some of the head of my transport is an ex-military man. I said, go there with some policemen. And so when they got there, they look at the car where parked, the truck where parked, the truck that has accident. So they sent the picture. It was then we started making arrests because they sell fuel around that neighborhood. It was while we were making arrests that some now opened up.
Right.
That it was at the point he didn't wait, and the entire truck got burnt.
Wow.
And so from there, for every problem we encounter, we look for the solution.
Good.
It was from there we now brought in technology in our business. Every of our truck has tracker.
Good.
As we are moving, we are tracking you. When you stop, we will be the one to call you and say, what are you doing? If you want to eat, we'll give you the number of minutes or hours it will take you to eat. And then, of course, those who deliver their product safely, we give them some incentive.
Good.
Because like I told you, those guys are terrible. So you need to motivate them. So we give them some incentives to make them to try to deliver.
Yes.
And those who try to shortchange us, we persecute them and prosecute them. We make sure we deal with them so that it will serve as a deterrent to others. And that has worked.
That has worked.
And of course, in our stations, you have some managers who are equally terrible. But since we introduced technology, e-pump, and other technology inside it in those days, so the losses has reduced. So technology has helped us to run our business more, efficiently. Thank you.
Fantastic. Dr. Igwe, yes, that deserves applause. We'll come to the audience soon. You talked about motivation. I'll still ask you what motivates you.
Yes.
You've told me what you do to motivate others.
Yes.
But you're a regular feature at OTL. I mean, OTL is in its 18th edition.
Yes.
But you are a regular face. In fact, you are one of the sponsors.
Yes.
So the question is, what value does it deliver? Why are you always here? Why do you keep coming back?
Yes, I like to have 3 levels of association.
Okay.
Association with those who knows more than me for impartation, for learning. Association of my equal for sharing. And association with those I'm better off for impartation, So yes. When you come to OTC, you see people, OTL, who are better than you. And I like to associate with those who are better than me. In those days in Onisha, most of my friends are old men, elders. In fact, I remembered when one of my customers wanted to wed, and I was to chair that wedding. And there was controversy. Some people say, Chris Igwe must be a very old man. They thought I was at the age of GOKK. Because I like to work with people who knows more than me. Fantastic. And so, in fact, that made a lot of people to turn up to that wedding. And so when they called me, everybody was trying to see whether I'm coming with walking sick. Because I started early,
Clearly.
And so in OTL, I'm able to network. We're able to network, and also we're able to showcase our products to the world. And also, OTL is made in Nigeria. This is what I used to travel, spend money.
Yeah, I agree.
I used to spend a lot for IP Week. In fact, since I discovered OTL, I don't attend IP Week again because for me, it's a waste of money. Because in OTL, you see captains of industry. Of course, you see somebody like Professor Billy Okoye.
Yes.
I mean, how else will I interact with somebody like that if not OTL, who have seen it all in the oil and gas industry?
Right.
So when I come to OTL, I learn from them. I listen to them, and then when we get back, we try to, make some amendments. So OTL has really helped us in Mainland Oil to promote our products, to network,
right,
and also to learn. So, in fact, what is remaining now is for me to be in the board of OTL. Because
you heard that.
I have been with them from the inception.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Yes, I believe it deserves applause as well. While you were speaking, yes, an Igbo saying came to my mind. I'll translate. Yes. Ke manka e mankozo. Yes. In other words, literally, it means that you know this one. Yes. Do you know the other one? And it further underscores the fact that no one of us is as smart or as knowledgeable as all of us. Yes. So thank you, OTL. That one is for you. This is for OTL. You see, for people of humble beginnings, such as yourself, yes, there's the tendency to say to yourself upon becoming a parent that, my children will not go through the rough life I had, so it's going to be a soft life. They'll have stewards, they'll have cooks at their beck and call. Is that a story for you now, seeing that, you're a father, you have a beautiful family? Are your children enjoying the soft life? They're having everything, no stress, just the way you had it? Or is it different? What are you instilling in them as of now?
All right, thank you very much. My first son is here, Obinna. Igwe is here.
Obinna, where are you? Nice, we see you.
I always tell them a story of, in those days when we were in primary school. There was a teacher whose husband was riding Mercedes, in those 70s. And after school, they will send us to go and fetch water for them. And then, of course, no footwear. I remember one boy that came from the town. He followed us to go and fetch water, and then his leg peeled. So when we come back, when we return, we will just see the young man, our schoolmate in those days. His hair is well barbed, and then they will just put a plate of gari with so many meat. And then we'll be admiring the guy eating. And of course, the woman will give us gari and put sugar. So we'll just eat. And we'll just be admiring the boy. But I don't know what happened that today we are the one helping the boy. And I took note of that. So when my last child was 2 years, we settled the maid.
Okay.
And so we do everything, house chores, by ourselves. So.
Good.
And I will always tell my children that story. I say the worst thing that will happen to you is for you, somebody who is serving you, you now go and begin to beg him for food, like that my friend. And so, because of that, we don't have a maid in the last 15 years.
Good.
So.
And they haven't died.
Yes. So, and my wife is a teacher, so she knows how to deal with them. So, and that was how they learned how to cook.
Good.
And how to do house chores.
Good.
And that helped them. I think when Obina was in Canada, he was even doing part-time job to augment.
Support. Good.
So I know that.
Good.
So, and so when he graduated, he got a job with an American company. I called him, I said, young man, you know get sense. The money they pay you, at the end of the day, they will use tax to collect it. How much do you save? I said, look at the opportunity in Nigeria. He said, do you mean it? I said, I mean it. Come. He now came. And agreed to work with us.
Good.
I said, you have to start from the scratch. So I want to thank our CEO, Mr. Nseka.
Nice.
Who took him in.
Nice.
And then he is the technical assistant to Mr. Nseka.
Nice.
And our CEO promised me that everything he knows is going to transfer to
him.
And then his salary, I pay him what I pay others. The only thing is that when he lacks food, he will come and carry food from the house. Because that's the problem of the children of big men. When you give them everything, they think the world is like that.
That's it. That's it.
And then, of course, the second one is a lawyer. The third one just graduated with one of the best results at the PAU. And he had joined us. The second one, after reading law, he wanted to do a different thing. So you allow people to pass through process. Allow them to pass through process.
Right.
So that they will not die.
Yes.
Because when people jump on money they didn't work for, it can kill them.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
understand?
That's
so,
the truth.
By the grace of God, by the help of my wife, of course, the uncle, Barrister Igwe, that one is an ex-military man. The military I didn't go here. He was a U.S. Air Force, so he knows how to deal with them. And so we believe God they are doing well.
Nice.
Thank you.
So, knowing what you know now,
yes.
If you were to go back, would you do things differently? Is there something you would do differently? Knowing what you know now, if time were to be turned back, would you do anything differently?
In what area?
All the areas, conglomerates. I mean, you're in logistics, oil and gas, property, you're in shipping, agriculture. Who knows what next? We're coming to that. So, anything different?
Yes. Some of these businesses, you went into it to create jobs. But you find out that at times some people, no matter how good you are, they don't appreciate. So for some of those businesses that are not doing very well, we might decide to sell it and concentrate on 3 major businesses, which is our cash cow, which is shipping, property, oil and gas. I will only leave farming because I want to retire as a farmer. But every other businesses, I used to do ticketing, but I've given it to the people. We started with tech.
Okay.
Do you understand? So
yes,
some of those businesses in Nigeria, because of some of the
policies,
the value system here had been eroded. So I don't advise anybody to get involved in a business you will not have control over. So if you will not be in control of that business, think twice. So thank you.
Think twice. You spoke of retirement, and it brings me to, for some people, they have timelines as to, okay, at so age, I'll leave active service. Yes. Any such thing as a retirement age for you, or are you going back to back, work?
No, of course, I will retire, and I will retire young. I started young, and I will retire young. So we are training, there's a department in our office we call Gen Z department.
Look at that. That is a forward-looking department.
Gen Z department, we are training them in all aspects of our business.
Good.
So by the time we train them, and of course, in no distant time, I will retire from managing any of my business. It won't be long. It's around the corner. Okay. I will retire, but I will not be tired.
That's it.
So I will stop managing my business. I can take that position of chairman, but I will manage the business. So that one is it's around the corner, because we equally have competent people around. So why don't you allow them to run the business? Otherwise, if you stay too long, they will look at you as a witch. So we are planning to hand over, and in no distant time, I will stop managing our business.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that deserves applause, don't you think? Great insights there. In this room, we have CEOs such as yourself, founders such as yourself. I mean, industry titans.
Yes.
In the same room, we have those newbies, those that are hoping to go into the oil and gas industry someday, or maybe that are already there, probably struggling, whatever the situation. Speak to those people. What advice do you have for them at this point?
All right, thank you very much. Let me speak to the new entrants. Oil and gas is a very good business and is vast. Some people are waiting for when they have all the money in the world. Money will never be enough. As a matter of fact, you don't have money problem. What you have is idea problem. When you have idea creates money.
That's it. Information, knowledge.
So my advice to them is, if you want to come into the oil and gas business, there are 2 ways to do it. You either do your research, very well, do your research, an extensive research on oil and gas, or you go and work with an existing oil and gas company.
Okay.
I remember when I was doing apprenticeship with my master, a lot of people were in a hurry to start. Some had problem with my boss then, and then within 1 year or 2 years, they jumped out. But I spent 7 years, and I learned a lot of things. Yeah. And the difference is that today, when I look at the level I am operating, so go and work with an already made oil and gas company, or you do your extensive research. For those who don't have money, I tell you a story. In our tank farm in Calabar, when we started 12 years ago, there are a lot of young people who were doing marketing for us. So what we do is, when we have product, we say, okay, sell, we give you 20 kobo. But all of a sudden, even when we were not making profit, we find out that sometimes we pay 10 million naira commission. And who were making that money? Those boys. Oh. And today, when you see them with the kind of cars, and you see some of them will come and buy products worth $500 million, and they will pay. Oh. So if you have the knowledge, a good knowledge of industry, either by working with an existing company or by doing an extensive research, come in and then get ready to start small. When you start small, you are growing, you are learning. Yes. There are some of them who buy from me. I encourage them to go and rent a station and manage it by themselves. And today, a lot of them have many stations. But knowledge, capacity is important in oil and gas industry, because if you don't have a good knowledge of oil and gas industry, you might burn your fingers. Because oil and gas industry, all of us are borrow. You can see a lot of bankers are here. We borrow from them. And so when you make your profit, retain larger chunk of that profit. Because over the years, I have found out that no matter how careful you are, if you have 12 transactions or 20 transactions, all of them will not go well. I'll give you an example. In 2020, we imported AGO, and we did our profitability analysis, and we are ready to hit it. And all of a sudden, there was COVID. Yeah. And the price of crude was just going down. I was watching our capital going down. And from $80 per barrel to negative. What saved us was we are a very conservative company. So when you make money, don't go and begin to buy Rolls Royce, because there's money in oil and gas. Keep that money, all the transactions, there is no guarantee that it will go well. So have a buffer so that, okay, look at what is happening today. The war between Israel and Iran, it affected the price of ice. We equally made money too, because when we saw the level of appreciation, we traded and grabbed our money. But at the same time, it can go either way. So, and for some of you, especially the young entrants, who think that by going with flashy car, bank will give you money. Let me tell you a story. When I wanted to build my tank farm, the bank that supported me then was Sterling Bank. I love the bank. So, when I was going to meet the credit committee, my car broke down and I took a taxi. Red taxi, the worst red taxi. Okay. And as I was coming down at the Salim Park, one of the members of the credit committee called out and said, come and see Oga Mainland. I didn't know what was happening. they say our money is safe.
Oh, that was good for you.
That was good for me. So for you who think that going with a fleet of cars, it won't change things. All you need to do well in oil and gas is, number one, you need to build trust.
Trust, good.
As we are in the industry, we know our colleagues. There are some of our colleagues that you want to go there. We tell you that person is a shark. If you enter, you are gone. The same thing. My relationship, I make bold to say, in the last 32 years, I've never had any problem with bank. In fact, when this oil and gas started, this credit bureau that makes banks see other banks where you are owing, it was not there then. Am I correct, my ED? It was not there. And so people were just borrowing money. And today, it has become a problem. So for us in Mainland Oil, we know that we have our own capital, but the product in the tank does not belong to you alone.
Right.
You have to know that. And take care of banks. First, I remembered in 2008, I wanted to take part of my property in Igwe to build house. I want to move out from VGC. And all of a sudden, there was meltdown. And the bank, you know them, they will wear a fine coat to come when they are giving you money.
Yes.
But if there is problem, you see another side of them. So when I saw that sign, I called my wife. I said, I'm not marrying again. We have a beautiful house. Why don't we lease this our property in Igwe? And lo and behold, an IOC came and took that property for 10 years lease.
Wow.
We were able to raise the money we owe bank. As they were coming with their long face, I said, take your money.
Take your money.
And you know what happened? The IOC went to that property and improved it. By 2018, they returned the property back. And I'm building 13 floors there now.
Look at that.
What am I trying to say? You need to build trust. Sometimes where they will discuss you will not be there.
Be there. That's true.
Even build trust among your buyers. Because there are sometimes you will not have money. You will have cash flow problem. But if those small customers trust you, they will gather together. Before you know it, you are seeing billions. You don't have to borrow. But they don't do it to everybody. So trust is important. And once you are living above your means, once I see it, I get scared because I know there will be problem. If it's not now, it will be later. So for the young entrants, don't think that going with flashy cars, it won't change anything. The banker that want to give you loan, he look at your cash flow. They are more interested in your cash flow more than your car. So if you can take this, you do well in oil and gas. There's a lot of opportunities in oil and gas. Thank you very much.
Okay. Mic runners, get ready. The mics, get ready. We'll be taking the questions soon, but I only have 2 questions, and these ones will be quick. I promise that I'll ask you what motivates you. So what wakes you up in the morning as of now? You're in your 50s.
Yes.
What motivates you as of today? You've spoken of motivation for others. How about you? What gets you going?
Yes. What motivates me, I like when I see us paying salary to thousands of people. Number one, I feel I have contributed to the teeming unemployed youths in Nigeria. And I am looking for when I will be paying 5,000 employees.
Oh, good. You're over 2,000 now?
Yes. At my age and stage,
yes,
you know that God has given me everything.
A lot.
I don't
You
food.
have every reason.
In fact, my needs are diminishing. You understand? I tell people my needs are diminishing, but I want to see a better Nigeria. Nigeria that is secured. When I started my business, I'm a good driver. I used to drive from here to north and come back. There was just pocket armed robbery issue here and there.
Before.
But now when I look at the level of insecurity in this country,
It's unbelievable.
so I want to see Nigeria that is secured and the unemployment reduced. And then the average per capita income of our Nigerians increased. So because if you are living well and your neighbor is not living well, you become an endangered species.
True.
Today, you cannot really allow your children. My children, the same Obina here, we traveled home. He said, there is nothing for me here because you don't allow me to move around. I said, I'm afraid. Do you understand? When you move around the way you used to move around in those days, you might be kidnapped.
Right.
So I want to see a secure Nigeria that is peaceful.
It will happen.
And I want Mainland oil to go to the next level.
It will.
Thank you very much.
It will. It will. This one is to say, yes, it will. And we are ready for the audience questions.
Right.
But this one is simply for fun.
Yes.
If you were to be any product in the oil and gas industry, what product will you be and why? It's just for fun. Any product, which I know the one I'll be as of today. So what will you be and why?
Well, if I was to be a product, I love PMS.
We're in the same WhatsApp group.
I'll be a PMS.
Why?
Because it's an everyday market. PMS is product that you don't look for customer.
Yeah.
In fact, Nigerians are addicted to PMS. So if I was to be a product, I'll be a PMS. Thank you.
And on that note, we'll keep it and go to the audience. Please give him resounding applause. Thank you. Do we have questions in the audience? Okay, I see one hand there. We have two. We can manage three and we'll call it an evening. 1, 2, and I see one there, 3. Okay, where are my mic runners? So start from Professor Billy.
Wow. This is amazing. Let me first thank OTL for this opportunity for us to hear from people who have gone from grass to grace.
To grace, absolutely.
Thank you so very much, OTL team, for this initiative. This is the first time of my seeing this since I started attending OTL. This is great.
Yes.
And I'm not sure I have seen this in a lot of conferences, even outside the country.
This deserves applause. Are we clapping or what?
Chris Igwe, you have done so well.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Prof.
I've been your friend for many years, but I'm amazed at the kind of things, the kind of progress, the kind of things you went through to be where you are today. And this is a big lesson for all of us. He has touched in every aspect, business, how to start business, how to even take care of your family. Yes. Because this is a big problem we have today. Yeah. Children of the rich.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a big problem. And he has really told us hands down how to handle our children. Now my question is, the oil and gas is made up of 3 main sectors. We have the upstream, midstream, and downstream.
Yes.
You are Baba in downstream. Yesterday, we had talked about people going into refineries. So Nigeria will be a net exporter of petroleum products. We had said yesterday, we've been exporting our crude oil. Let's export petroleum products. We'll make more money for the nation. We'll create more job opportunities. And yesterday, I did mention, I didn't know you were going to be here. Yes. Yesterday in my session, I said, let rain oil, let mainland oil. They should build refineries. Abi? Yes, I said it yesterday. He said the next step, are you looking at building refineries? Are you looking at going to the upstream? Because part of the problem we also have is that you have a refinery, you don't have crude. Okay? I'm sure we all know what is happening today. You know, so are you looking at going to the upstream and then going to the midstream so that Tomorrow, we travel overseas, we see mainland oil and gas.
Yes.
Everywhere. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. When Prof asks you a question, you have to prepare very well to be able to answer well. But thank you very much for your compliments and your kind words. The problem with refinery is the government involvement in the downstream. So before now, government have been subsidizing product. And under that regime, there's no way you can get involved in refinery and succeed. It takes only an Aliko Dangote to have the courage to go into refining. But for some of us, we realize that refinery is not a very profitable business. The margins in refinery are small. And so when you now add the subsidy regime, you find out that it's a no-no for us. But with the removal of subsidy, we are beginning to see opportunities in refinery. And we entrepreneurs, when we see opportunity, we smell it. We do our analysis. For us, in Calabar, you see where we just finished our first phase jetty. We are building the second phase. And behind it is a massive parcel of land, good for refinery. But we are not going into refining now. We are just, let us be sure that government are not coming back again. So when we are sure, then we look at those people who are refining. How have they fared? Because refinery itself, like I said, if you look at the countries that are doing refinery, it's a value chain. Those countries and IOCs that are in refinery, they are equally in exploration. They are equally in crude trade and bulk product sales. So along the value chain, if refinery is not making money, the exploration is making money, crude is making money. So for us in Mainland Oil, we were one of the companies that won the last marginal field bid. And so we are working on it. We are hoping that in no distant time we will start producing. And then I think for me, let us explore that opportunity in marginal field. In marginal field, if we do marginal field very well, there is a discussion going on in one of the Southern American companies. If we're able to do well, like I told you, we like to start small. When we learn and we have done well, we can go to South America and do block. And when we do block and we do it very well, we can now, refinery will come last. By that time, we look at the people who are doing it, whether they are smiling to the bank. If they are smiling to the bank, then if they are not, we'll learn our lessons. Thank you.
Okay, Olu Phillips, you have a question.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll come to you.
Good evening, everybody. A fantastic job. Let me quickly align with the compliments from my prof. We worked a bit together at his last employ. And to say, Emeka, thank you. This is nothing short of a TEDx Lagos.
Yes.
What we see here. Yeah, and to say that I'm not sure I'm speaking as a journalist, but something that has agitated my mind lately and in a while. And to ask a doctor here, do you sense the contemplation that there's a growing gulf between the outgoing generation and the young people as regards ambition, organic growth, and large appetite. So you see oil and gas today, all every young person sees is the numbers. Get out of school, buy good suits from Italy, fly first class. If you're a bit randy, appear at most clubs and have all the ladies without any disrespect meant. And aligning with what you said about organic growth, starting small. I got confronted today by some of the people I respect to say, when are you going to begin to produce your likes? And I said, most young people don't want to patiently learn. If I brought them to join me in this conference and say, see how it is done, and they run into seeing me say hello to some people that appear big, the first thing that will come to their mind is, oh, so this is what you have been enjoying.
Yeah.
And you say we should come and learn. The next conference, they will want to be on their own. How do we close up this nexus? Or what is the nexus to tie the coming generation and your outgoing generation? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, my brother. I quite agree with you. But all this problem, you may trace it back to the value system. Our value system have been eroded. I remember the 1992 when I wanted to build a house for my mother. She first of all wanted to know how I made the money. But today, it is no longer like that. In fact, a friend of mine recently introduced his son to me and said, I want you to be his godfather. I said, you are my friend. The young man collected my number. I said, come, you are free as long as you are the son of so. And it was not quite 1 week. The same man called me that his son had a problem. He's been detained in a police station. And I called the area commander there. I wanted to know what's the problem. The boy is into Yahoo. And that's how the relationship gone. So even with the elderly ones, we need to do something about that. The way we glorify sudden riches. Both in the community, in the church, and everywhere. A situation where somebody is into drug or is into one illegal business or the other, and then in our churches you give him front seat. What are you telling the young ones? Do whatever you can do
To get the front seat.
to get there. And of course, in the community, I know when the chieftaincy in those days, before they give you chieftaincy title, people will begin to call you chief.
Yeah.
Because you have merited it. But today, there is one traditional ruler that even gave a bachelor chieftaincy. So, we need to do something about our value. As long as we are glorifying those things, people who make it quick, because these are what is making the youths, everybody want to make it quick. Now, when we started, in those days, if you are not going to school, you go and learn a craft, or you go and serve somebody. Now, that apprenticeship model, for me, the best school I have attended is not all the school. The best school I attended is the school of apprenticeship. Because there you will be taught all the intrigues in business. I remember in those days you have to cook and then you wait for your master to come back and eat. So if it's the day your master is going to drink outside, you have to wait for a long time. What is he teaching you? How to endure. But all those things, we don't have it these days. And I tell you, all those young people who pass through that apprenticeship training, I have over 30 of them. They are doing so well today. Because when you start your own business, you will start small. So there is a gap, there's no doubt. But we, the elderly ones, we have a role to play. Even media. Media, my brother, you have a role to play. Do you understand?
Yeah.
All of us, we have a role to play to make sure we change this narrative so that this get-rich-quick syndrome will stop. When we stop it, then it is then that the young people will now know that if they go to rob and come back, they will not be welcomed, even from their family. Yeah. Do you understand? Parents have their duty. Even today, when people working for you, their parents tell them to be stealing. There's an adage in my place that he who climbed an Iroko tree to fetch water, because you don't firewood, because you don't climb Iroko tree all the time. When you start somebody with this kind of mindset, it's a problem. At the end of the day, that is why you now see young people. In fact, they are so foolish that some of them think that they use human parts to make money. We have bankers here, banking gurus. You know what money is made of. There's no connection between human body and money. Even our Nollywood has a role to play.
Absolutely.
A situation you see this one, the title will be Billionaire Club. You see people who do some odd things to get money. It's registering the heart of the youths.
True.
So all of us have a role to play. And if we begin today to do it, I believe we will it will get better. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have a final question right here. We only have time for one more. Oh, okay.
Thank you.
A lady. So after you, then we'll give.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chris Igwe.
Thank you.
I call him my chairman.
My MD.
And that's what he always said. I have two things to say real quick.
Yes.
One is a comment, the other is a question. For most people that knows you, and I don't think I will be saying anything that is new, for the people that don't know you, I should say this. You have always come across as the most humble, successful person I've ever met, number one. Number two, I felt you're always very accessible, and you always carry a smile. I've had the opportunity to fly with you. I met you through my own chairman, but you've always treated me just like as a friend you've always known. So the question is, for as successful as you have already been, what has been the secret, particularly for the young people we're talking about, what has been the secret for keeping you grounded and staying humble and accessible? I must also say, for the times I've seen you interact, you always treat everybody almost equal. So please tell us why, what's the secret behind that? Again, I want to congratulate you for an exceptional life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my MD. You know you are my MD. So why I remind you that you are my MD is this chairmanship position. There is nothing in it. So, first and foremost, once you have vision for life, it is important to have vision for life. Set a target for yourself. And because if you don't have vision for life, there is a saying in my place that money has ears and money talks. So when you don't have vision for your life or for your business, when those resources come, you will misuse it. But when you have vision There was a time, my vision, my prayer in 1985, we were fasting and praying. I suffered too much. I said, God, if I can raise 2,000 naira to start business, I'll be very, very happy. But you know I have more than 2,000 naira now. So, and when you make that 2,000 naira, you raise the bar. So, when you set a target, it helps you to be single-minded. And then, of course, you talk about humility. You have to know that everything we are talking about today, we are what we are by His grace. It's not by not by my power.
Absolutely.
It's not by my power.
Absolutely.
Because you have to equally acknowledge that those who are dead. I remember in those days we were going through all those things. There was a day accidents. I've seen accidents on the road. There was a day I carried all my capital. I was coming to Dimota, and armed robbers attacked. I just rushed to the bush, and it was not quite 1 minute when I ran to the bush. Armed robbers just cordoned that motor.
Oh, dear.
They would have just finished me. It was just by the grace of God. So we are what we are by the grace of God. And if it is grace, you are not going to push as if you are the one that achieve it. It's very, very important. Then secondly, it's good to have vision for life. When you have vision, you don't have time. You don't have time for trivial things. So I have always set a goal. And when I achieve it, I raise the bar. There are some people who were my role model. But when I outrun them, wouldn't you look for another role model? I look for another role model. So if you are looking up for something, you keep on growing.
Yes.
And then that desire to achieve that keep on propelling you, and then you keep on growing. So that is just the secret. Thank you.
Yes, there's a final question. Yes.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to say a big thank you to OTL team. My name is Dr. Oladuniowo, National President, Women in Energy, Oil and Gas. We met earlier, sir. And for making this happen, Fireside Chat, so interesting, so down to earth. Thank you for sharing the story behind the glory, your expertise and experience in the industry, across the value chain. And thank you again also for what Prof highlighted, going into all the streams, because that's one thing we have been preaching. It's high time Nigeria really gets integrated, our industry gets integrated. So thank you very much for also going in that direction. And maybe in another 5-10 years, we'll see a Nigeria where we can have a full integration of the upstream, midstream, downstream, and they will be able to really have value for the natural resources God has blessed the land with. So my question is an industry question, actually, downstream. So you took time to, give us the story around the menace around logistics, and then what you were able to do to tackle the situation. But I can tell you that that menace is still there. And even though you were able to use all those interesting tactics to depart the drivers from doing all those things they do, but is the industry currently, are these industry leaders looking at other logistics channel? Not just the trucking. I know 1 or 2 times it's been tried, the rail system, virtual, all sorts. Are there other possible logistics channel that we can use? Because I, at one point, was in the middle of this whole thing, the rice and beans and all the things that happen. You are going Lagos, Ibadan, you see one truck parking, they pour water into your products, they use, all sorts of things. Now, so on 2 sides, how can we educate and change the mindset, apart from the carrot and stick that you described of those drivers, such that they can see a future for them in the industry beyond just driving? Then secondly, as a whole, how can we improve the logistics transporting products, bridging, and all those things, such that, because now things are changing, the dynamics are really going to change. Now that we're looking at in-country refining and so many other things, how can we actually improve the supply chain in the downstream? Thank you.
Thank you very much, my sister. To improve the logistics, we need to build infrastructure. In fact, in a developed world, you hardly see all this tanker. They transport petroleum product through the rail line. And that will help our road to last longer. So I am happy that the government are building some rail lines. But for me, I want to encourage government to build a rail line that will go cut across all the nooks and crannies of the country. It will reduce the pressure and our road is going through these days, because you find out that some of the marketers are even using trucks that are so big. Maybe the road is built to handle 33,000 or 45,000 metric tons maximum. But you see some trucks that are carrying 60,000. So the only solution is development of rail line. If government will improve and build more rail line, I tell you, it is less risky and it will reduce the number of trucks
on the road.
Going on the road. We need to build more infrastructure. And of course, the other question is on, is it the drivers?
Yes, yes.
It's constant training. Do you understand? We keep on talking to them. There are some of them at a point when I was managing our truck, I found out that they don't take their money home. So part of their salary I sent to their family. And you know, women are powerful. So when Madam received that money, he will be talking to the man not to offend us. So for me, constant training and more incentive will help. Yes, my sister, I love your position. Women need to come. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Come into the industry. We need to encourage you to take more administrative position. So in those days, I was managing our transport. I found out that when we started sending part of the money to Madam, there was a change. Like I said, those drivers, God will help them to go to heaven. Thank you very much.
Let's make it louder. Yes. Thank you so much.
You.
I had told Dr. Igwe that when I learned I was going to be moderating this session, I had said to myself, I hope this man is lively. I started laughing. He started, but truly, he's a humble, simple man. And this has been a fantastic session, yes? Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your time. This is a perfect place to hinge it. As I thank OTL for all their hard work, partners, sponsors, thank you so much for making this what it has so far been. I believe there's day 4 tomorrow.
Thank you.
But also I'd like to thank you, our esteemed audience, for your great questions and active participation. With resounding applause, let's give a final one for our guest.
Thank you.
CEO,
thank you.
Mainland Oil and Gas and Christner Group of Companies, Dr. Sir Chris Odinaka Igwe. Thank you for a fantastic one. Yes.
And make it louder for Ebele Ememchuku. Hasn't she been fantastic?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So a photograph together, I will ask Dr. Akabogo to please join.